The intro that you're watching right now was edited entirely by AI. No editor, no software, just Claude Code. After over 250 projects and $1 million in revenue at my agency, I now use this exact system to produce every single one of the videos that you're watching on this channel. Today, I'm going to walk you through that entire pipeline from YouTube trend research and ideation all the way through to fully edited motion graphic enhanced videos, all built with 5 completely free open source tools. Everything runs on your computer. You don't need any editing skills. You don't need Premiere Pro, and you don't even need to know how to code. Once you build this system, every video after that can be fully edited in just one command. Okay, so to talk about what we'll be building, because this will be a fairly long video, the timestamps will be in the description below, because you'll probably have to come back and revisit some of these things. We'll be covering a lot of really valuable content, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to create any agentic workflow, and you'll actually understand how to set up workflows that do insane things all within Claude Code and running locally on your computer. So what we'll be covering first is the 5 different tools that we'll be using to automatically go from raw video file all the way through to animated, edited, clipped video ready for YouTube in one step. First, we'll be covering the research agent. This is the agent that's going to do competitor research and help you build ideas for your video. Number 2 is the ideation agent. In this agent, this will actually be building you your scripts, your content ideas, your B-roll ideas, and everything involved in information that you need to actually film that video. You can then go ahead and film the video, the intro and the main video. 4 is the production agent. So here you're going to build the storyboard. You're going to analyze those videos and build a plan on exactly how you're going to edit it. 5 is we're going to clip up the video. Now with the video transcription, and we'll be using Deepgram for that. We'll be using Gemini to analyze the video, and we'll be basically getting an audio analysis as well. We have 3 things. We have a word-by-word level transcription with timestamps. We have a visual analysis of exactly what's happening on the screen, and we have an audio analysis to understand the decibels and the volume levels at different points. A combination of those 3 files is what's going to allow us to accurately clip up your video automatically in one step. Once we have it nice and clipped up and we have those analysis, we can then go ahead and identify exactly where the good B-roll snippets are in the main video to use in the intro. We can automatically clip those up, and we can build and render using Remotion and Hera, which is what's going to give us this output YouTube video. Now, the key thing you'll notice in this video is that building agentic workflows is actually a very iterative process. So when you first build an agent, these agents, they might work 7 out of 10 times or maybe 5 out of 10 times. And you'll find that you need to keep constantly tweaking the prompts until you get a final super prompt, which operates 10 out of 10 times. And that is never a first hit process. So it takes iteration, it takes testing, and that's what we'll be doing in this video. You'll be watching me walk through that live, but you have to understand that 95% of people that are building agentic workflows out here are really not building agentic workflows. They're just building regular automations, and there's a lot of manual input involved in that. In order to build something that's going to work in one click, we first have to build all of these agents. We have to iterate on them and make sure the prompts are perfectly engineered, which will come as a process of testing, and you'll see me do that in the video. Only then can we truly make this agentic. So you'll be seeing that entire process from start to finish in this video, and I hope you find it useful. Let's jump into what tools we'll be using. So first up, we have Hera. Now, it does have a paid aspect to it. I think it's 4 cents a motion graphic. You don't need to use this tool to generate really cool animations and motion graphics in your intro and your body, but I'm going to use it because I just think it's really, really powerful and it's good. You can do that directly with Remotion, which we'll talk about in a moment if you want to keep it completely free, but I'll be using this one. Then we have the BMAD framework. Now, if you haven't heard of this is genuinely game-changing for building scalable vibe-coded infrastructure in general. If you're using AI to help you through the development workflow, wherever that is, this is going to take a lot of that heavy lifting off of your shoulders, and it's going to help you translate natural language and just regular understanding into enterprise-grade best practice code organization and execution in general. So all open source, all free. Really think that this is game-changing for AI coding in general. Next up, we'll be using Remotion. This allows you to edit your videos programmatically. We're going to be using this to compile and edit the videos. Google AI Studio will be using Gemini Pro to analyze videos, and then we'll be using Claude, particularly Claude Code within the CLI, to actually operate and execute. It'll be our LLM that's writing everything that we do. So those are the 5 tools that we'll be using. Now let's jump straight into actually getting things done. Okay, so funnily enough, this is before I recorded the intro. So this is me going through and actually ideating this exact video idea. So this is the first stage, and I've built an agent that does this. So if we go into BMAD, we go into custom agents, and we take a look at the content ideation strategist. So you'll see here, and I'm gonna run it now. So if I run an instance of Claude, I'm gonna go / and I go content ideation. Now the agent's name is Edge. So you can see here, content ideation strategist. We named it when we created it. So I'm gonna run this specific agent, and you'll see here, it goes, you must fully embody this agent's persona, and its name is Edge here. You can see its name is Edge. Now, in terms of the config for the / commands that I just used to call that, you can view the config in the BMAD method here, but you can also view it in Claude's folder. I go through that when I talk about creating agents. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ideate this video, which is the first step in a list of agents that we run to basically dramatically increase the speed of being able to generate content, not only across YouTube, but across all social media channels, lead magnets and blogs, email campaigns, LinkedIn, short form, Instagram, TikTok, etc. So this is kind of like and it's all trained on the ICP, the audience you're trying to target, exactly what messages you're trying to go through. And we're going to see that when we actually work through this specific agent. Great. So first off, it's going to ask me to select a project. Now, AI video intro editing agent, that one is the one we're going to run. Claude Code Remotion video editing. Actually, no, we're going to run that one. Yes, I made a draft of that the other day, so we're going to start there. If I wanted to create a new project, I would just type N and create the new project. Now, I actually created this project. I did like 3 steps, and then I closed it because I was like, I want to make a YouTube video on this. I don't just want to do it without showing everyone. So that's why that was the case. And if we come down to projects, we can see some of the projects here. And particularly we're working on this one, which is Claude Code Remotion. So it's gone ahead and it's made a project MD file to store exactly what we're doing. So you can see here that it's tracking all of the different files that we'll be making, so it can view the status of the project easily when it uses other agents. So it's going to say, what do we want to do? We want to sharpen our idea. Now, when it says full workshop with gates and content brief, so what the gates are, they're essentially gates to make sure that what I'm talking about is targeting the people, the ICP, but we're also going to do some research. So first off, actually, let's do content research before we even do this. So I'd say, actually, please run content research. Actually, we'll do the idea first. So it's going to say, what's the core transformation? In this video, what I'm trying to do is show people how they can edit videos completely in Claude Code using Remotion, Claude Code, and custom agents, but also how they can build templates in Remotion and structured agents using the BMAD method to make sure that the output is consistent. And through training of those models and testing and iteration and editing, they can then eventually build a system that can pretty much in one shot be able to take a video, clip up the entire video, edit it, add motion graphics, and be ready for YouTube. Then they can train a number of other agents to then repurpose that content across all social media channels, create lead magnets, post blogs, run API requests, and essentially build an entire content management system all within Claude Code and a repository. The before state is a raw video, and the after state is a completely clipped up, edited video, all exported with 0 third-party services, all done on a computer. Now, this specific video, I will actually be doing that with the intro that the people watch before they go ahead and watch the rest of the video. So any viewers are going to see the clipped up video at the very start. So we can even show, the before and after, or maybe not a before and after, but we can essentially say, hey, look, the intro that you're watching right now was actually edited completely in Remotion. Continue watching the video and you'll see exactly how I did it. I went through the entire process from competitor research, ideation, script generation, storyboarding, editing on Remotion, and rendering. Now, all of these questions, so if you watch some of there's a number of other videos I've got on here on Claude Code, but essentially using the BMAD framework, if you want to create your own agent, and I've done this plenty of times, you can use the /BMAD. They have a custom you can create custom agents. So they have a number of stock agents, I guess you can call them, out of the box, particularly for software development, developing games, pretty much a lot of software use cases. But you can also create your own agents, which is exactly how. So it will take you through that step by step. It will guide you through the process to then go ahead and build an agent like this. So now what it's doing, it's found the log line. So this is a one sentence on what our content does. Content creators and AI builders will learn how to build a complete AI video editing system using Claude Code, Remotion, and structured agents that takes raw footage and produces fully edited, clipped, motion graphic enhanced videos, 0 third-party services, all on your machine, resulting in a one-shot content production pipeline that edits videos. That's powerful. Now, two things we'll do in there. Okay, we also use the open source BMAD framework, which is completely free. So that's another framework that we use to create these custom agents. And we use Hera video to generate the motion graphics. So those are two other tools that we use alongside Claude Code and Remotion. Outside of that, that logline looks really, really strong. Yes, it's a pretty big video, but let's do it. It shouldn't be more than 60 minutes. Great. Now it's come through and it's giving me some hook options for the introduction, but it's first done an ICP check. So I have two ideal customer profiles. I have builders and learners, people that are looking to build AI skills and learn about AI and freelancing methods. And then I've got ICP2, which is our agency, which is small to medium enterprise decision makers. So people that are interested in our agency offer. And if you are interested in that, or you just want to see what that is, the links to that are in the description. Cool. So it said it's a good hit for the top of funnel or the builders learners, and a moderate hit for the small to medium enterprise. Value clarity. So we want to make sure that every video is giving value. Here it's saying by the end of this video, they'll be able to fully working AI system that takes raw video footage and produces fully edited motion graphic enhanced videos. ROI is self-evident. Cool. Gate 3. So as you can see, I set up all these gates and I was like, hey, look, every piece of content that I make, I want you to assess it against these gates to make sure that I'm not making content that's not relevant to anyone, that's not offering value, that's not targeted to our ICP. And that was the idea behind this. And so it's saying here, okay, hook test. Here are some hooks. The intro you just watched was edited entirely by AI. Cool, that looks good. I'm going to show you how to build an entire. That looks good. Credibility stack. Cool. These all look good. Great. So it's a 9 out of 10 for the top of funnel. I guess so. And it's a 7 out of 10 for the bottom of funnel. Cool. Scope guard. It's a big video. Cool. Great. This looks good. Which hook? Yeah, let's go with hook A. Now, I actually decide the hook later because what typically happens, right, is we build this plan, but then I film the video and sometimes certain things change. So we'll have a step that you'll see later where we'll then go through and we'll analyze the actual video and the transcript, and we might adjust some things based on how the actual video ends up going. So as you can see, it's just ticked off that we've done the content brief, and in the edge folder, which is this agent in a moment, I'm sure what it's going to do is it's going to add that content brief as a file, which is what it's doing. It's writing the full content brief now. Now, when you build these agents, so a lot of people think that the BMAD framework is too much work. They don't want to answer all these questions about the agents. They just want to jump straight into building something. They don't realize that when you build complex infrastructure now like this, there needs to be proper documentation because what happens if the conversation closes? What happens when you suddenly have, if you have one agent, yeah, you can just jump straight into Claude Code and start. But if you have 5 agents, if you have 10, if you have 20, if you have 50, if you have 200, all of a sudden having proper infrastructure and documentation is essential, or you've essentially created yourself an undocumented mess. So that's why I say, look, this is completely free, open source. It builds a proper structure. Or I didn't have to tell it to build this documentation. It's trained on enterprise best practices. It did it itself. Now we can see here, it's finally created the content brief. So if we take a look at what this looks like, it's essentially summarized everything we discovered. So it said here, what's next? Great. So let's do some competitor research next. I've seen some really good content about Remotion and Claude Code out there that's doing really well right now. I don't think they go into the level of detail that we'll be going into in this video. I think they touch the surface. This is going to show how to actually build a repeatable system. I think a lot of the other ones just show some of the basics of editing videos and not a repeatable system. But let's do some competitor research to identify some of the trends and potential outlier performing videos to help refine this idea. Great. Now let's take a look. So again, the competitor research, I believe that's a custom YouTube research. So we built a custom workflow, again, using the BMAD framework. And instead of doing create agent, you can run create workflow, and it will take you through a process to create whatever workflow you want. Now, when we talk about workflows and we talk about what's the difference between a workflow and an agent, there's 3 levels to, they call this the agentic workflow structure. I'm just going to break it down to simple terms. Is 3 workflows to every AI agent or AI process that you're building, AI automation. So you've got your agent. That's something that makes decisions. In our case right now, we're using the content ideation agent. Below that, it has commands. So we saw before up the top here, gave us a list of commands. Do we want to chat with it about something? Do we want to sharpen an idea? Do we want to verify some content against pattern libraries? Do we want to do some competitor research? So those are the commands. Then we have actual workflows, which are actions. So for example, scraping LinkedIn. Could be an actual task. So it's a fixed task. You can often break that down into an actual script, an API call, a request. It's like a fixed task, which is like, let's say, for example, in simple terms, to build a metaphor. Okay. We may have to, Exa sometimes does this with the bugs. So we might have to continue this chat, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. Cool. Okay, so the API is failing there. So what we have to do now, occasionally happens with Exa. So if we come back in here to a new window, we go resume. This is how you resume a previous conversation. We can basically open that up again and then say, please continue. And it should work this time. Oh, still saying there's errors. Please web search, not Exa. Damn. All right. So let's just run the agent again. We'll run Edge, and we're going to run the competitive research in a new conversation for the project. Anyway, what we were talking about before in terms of the 3 structures, let's take, for example, me cleaning the kitchen. That would be, this is a metaphor, but that would be an agent. The different commands could be wash the dishes, stack the dishwasher, clean the fridge, whatever the case is. And then a task could be clicking the on button on the dishwasher, or their specific little bite-sized tasks. So you got that like 3-level structure. That's a random metaphor that I thought about off the top of my head that may or may not be helpful to you, but that's what we're kind of doing here. So when we look at the workflows that we have in here, we have this one, it extracts logos. So if we're building motion graphics and we're talking about Claude, we're talking about Supabase, we're talking about tools, we want to have a workflow that goes, hey, here's a tool, go and get the logo for that tool so we can then use it in a motion graphic. Again, another one here we have is web capture. This will capture landing pages or capture something off the web. So if I want to get an article, because I'm talking about some sort of statistic and I want to refer to an article, I can use this workflow to go, hey, capture this article web page so we can use it in the B-roll, in the motion graphic for the video. Great. So it's asked us to create a project. Sorry, to select our project again. We're doing Claude Code, Remotion editing. So let's go project 1, and then let's do content research. Now, if you take a look at, let me Control O. So if you do Control O, you can open what it's actually doing. If we see here, look, so it's doing content research. It's just searched for a number of tutorials, and look, it's pulling up a lot of keywords, Remotion, blah, 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 Claude Code video editing. Then it's looking at channels. So we can see here, these are some of the biggest names in the AI space. It's taking a look at their research, their recent videos to identify what it's looking for is outliers. So we'll see in a second. I'm going to Control O and close that again. But we'll see it's going to come out with a report. So it's scanned 401 videos. It's found 20 outliers and 10 transcripts. All right, so it's come back and let's take a look at these results. So it's come here, there's a lot. Trend report, the meta trend is clear. Claude Code, dominant topic right now. So OpenClaw is obviously massive. Claude Code is a skill. Yeah, the 4-hour course. So that's a 2. So we can see the outliers, right? We can see based on some statistics, the views versus their subscribers, we can see what's really hitting. All right. So it's taking a look, and we can even get formulas for, you know, what video titles are performing, what thumbnails. Now, this is not actually doing thumbnails. We could potentially edit the workflow at some point to do that, but for now, cool. So we're going to go sharpen or validate. So we're now going to apply what we found from doing that content research to our content brief. Now, at some point, I actually would work transcripts into this. That's something that it's not currently doing. So what I'd probably edit, I'm not going to do it now, but if I wanted to edit it, I would come into Claude and I'd run that edit workflow that we're looking at before. I would come in here and I'll say, hey, look, the 3 most relevant videos to what we have in our content brief, I want you to, or I could honestly even do that later, but I build it into this agent. I want you to extract not only the transcript, but also the thumbnail to compare so that, you know, we can use that as, if you wanted to, as extra inspiration. Now, I kind of know what I'm doing here. I want to make a video on, you know, what I've been using to do what, you know, edit our actual video. So I already know where the content's going. It's probably not going to change that much no matter what the competition is doing, but it's more so the title and the thumbnail, because that can really affect like the click-through rate. And there's 2 things that matter in YouTube growth. It's 1, click-through rate, and 2 is engagement on a video, which is heavily down to the hook and the first 45 seconds, because in most videos, a good 50% of people leave in the first 30 seconds. So there needs to be a really strong, powerful hook in order to get people to stay. Great. And so it's running against the gates again, but it is sharpening. All right, cool. So it's come through with a couple of sharpenings. A few ways we can tighten this. So let's go trim hook A to 5 seconds. Cool. So we're going to, So we're going to say update the brief with the changes and save it. Honestly, I might change. I don't really want to change the structure of the video. So in my opinion, the way the structure will work, but I do want you to help out. So the intro, I'm happy for you to define the intro, the hook, and what we should use there in terms of some hook ideas based on what's working. After that, what I want to do is similar to other long videos. I want to basically build a flow chart and explain to users exactly what we'll be doing, because it's likely to be a long video. I want to say, hey, look, we'll be covering these agents to build this entire pipeline. If you want to skip to a particular one, you can. So that kind of approach, and just overviewing what we'll be talking about, and then we'll jump into the specific agents, unless you really recommend that we should have a section before we even jump into the agents that talks about, I can see here you've got the tool stack. Happy to have a quick section on the tool stack after that, before we jump into the actual competitor research and ideation agents, if you feel that would do well. Now, I'll show you how the competitor research works as well. I will be adding all of this content. I will post some of it on a blog, but I'll probably be making this GitHub repo completely open source at some point once it's revised and it's and I'm happy it's stable and it's working the way that it should be working. I will provide some of these resources. I'll see what I can give away for free. Otherwise, I'll probably be pushing the full repo in the AI Builders Hub at some point once it's stable pretty soon. Because I know there's a lot of content in here. But that being said, you can go ahead and create your own agents in the meantime, just by seeing exactly how this works. It's mainly about the process, and as long as you can describe the process in the BMAD create agent and edit agent steps, you're going to be able to rebuild something similar for yourself. Great. Okay, so it's sharpened some of the hooks. It's added the Excalidraw roadmap. Great. So now what it's going to do is we have some more commands, but the next one is the long form production. So what this does is scripts the intro and it plans the B-roll and the motion graphics. So I'm going to run this, and then I'm going to quickly show you through the content brief. So if I come back to, let's make this a little bit smaller. And if I come back to the project in here, so the content brief, if I right click, or I can do Command Shift V. Cool. So we can take a look here and we can preview the markdown format. Now, markdown just refers to, this is the way that AI models return data in most situations. It's a really easy way to format tables, all that kind of stuff. So you can see here, the content brief, we've got our log line, the gate results. So these are the 6 gates that we want to make sure every video passes. With research validation, we've got the tech stack that we'll be using. We've got some hook ideas. Now, these will probably change, but they're just some good starts. We talk about our audience, the before and after transformation. So we want to say, hey, in every video, before you watch it, this is where you are, this is what you can do. After you watch it, you should have learned these things. You should be able to do these things. That's the idea. The intro framework, the body structure, the chapters, talking points. So as you can see, pretty good structure. What the long form is going to do is it's now going to go ahead and actually build this in some more detail, start to script out the intro, the hooks in more detail to allow me to then go ahead and start actually filming the intro and building the content. Okay, so we can see whilst it's compacting the conversation, that has generated the long form production plan. So let's take a look. So it's saying, here's the hook. So the hook is going to be, this intro was edited entirely by AI, no editor, no software, just Claude Code. Then it goes with credibility and value. So it's trained, what else it has is this memory. Now, what the memory is it's repeatable information. So what's happened is I've trained it on, hey, look, my name's Adam. I started as a freelancer on Upwork over 4 years. I did over 60 projects. I'm in the top rated plus program and the expert vetted program, and I've done over 100K on the platform publicly as an agency, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to give you the spiel here because you probably already heard it in the intro, but I've trained it on everything that I've done, so it has access to that context. So it's gone here, said blah, 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 been using not a demo, real production. Today I'm going to walk you through the entire pipeline. Cool. So this is quick, 107 words, 43 seconds apparently. So pretty quick, in, out, and then we go straight to the Excalidraw roadmap. I like this. Here's what we're building, and then it goes through each of the agents. Perfect. Then it's going to take me into the rest of it. Now here's the B-roll. So it's saying in 0 to 5 seconds, it's going to be me talking head full frame. Then at 5 to 8 seconds, so this is what we'll touch on in a bit, but I've got templates on Remotion. So I've already built animations for our social proof stack, which shows my Upwork profile and the agency. And that's an animation, that's a template. We can reuse that because obviously I'll be using that social proof in a number of videos. We can reuse that animation. Then we're gonna use Hera to generate a Claude Code terminal B-roll with Edge running. Great. Then we're gonna do, again, we're going to use Hera. So this will be generating motion graphics. Quick flash of edited AI edited intro. Cool. Then we'll do 5 tool logos. I mean, to be honest, we probably don't need this. I would say we even clip something from the main video there. So we'll probably do that. Another motion graphic, the 5 tool logos. Nice. Now, to be honest, Hera video does cost like 5 to 10 cents per motion graphic, so I will have to add that in there. Talking head, but I think there might be some free tokens you can get. Talking head, Premiere Pro, timeline to Claude Code terminal. That's a cool motion graphic. Cool. Okay, that looks cool. We'll go straight to Excalidraw. So I'm going to edit this slightly, and it's actually going ahead and it's creating that Excalidraw file, which we'll see in a moment. I am going to edit this slightly though, in that I want to get some B-roll from the main video. But the way this works, right, let me talk through this at a high level. So here we've got an intro. Now what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and film that intro and the Excalidraw diagram now. Then I'm going to come back to this video and I'm going to use the existing video that I've already filmed here plus that to edit the intro, because I haven't actually done the video rendering yet, so I obviously can't extract that and put that in the exact same video that we're filming right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to film the intro, then I'm going to come here and I'm going to edit it further. Now, what I usually do is I will film the entire main video in one go, which is what I'm talking about now. Then I will film the intro, because that way I know exactly what I've done when I film the main video, and I can actually grab the main video file and I can extract snippets of it as B-roll to put in the intro to basically show what we'll be doing later on. So I'll be showing snapshots of me going through. Because in this video it's different because I haven't actually done the main bit yet. I need to do the intro first. I probably won't include any motion graphics from the actual video in this particular intro, but you'll see it in all of my other videos. Great, this looks awesome. Now let's take a look at the Excalidraw. So if we come down to, we go out of the main, we go back to projects, we go to the edge. So this is the edge agent and we look at the Excalidraw diagram. Here we can see that it's given us the exact format. So if I come over to Google Chrome and I type Excalidraw in, show you. This was the old video. I'm going to delete that. Command V. We can see the exact breakdown. Now we can edit this a bit more, but here's something else. So that looks cool, but we actually want to make that a little bit better. So I'm going to say, hey, look, for the Excalidraw diagram, that looks good, but it just honestly looks kind of boring and the formatting's not great. It's not that easy to read. Can you please update it using the Excalidraw skill that we installed into Claude Code and basically just make it nicer to look at, please? It should be as readable as possible. And we take a look at the diagram that we generated for the, I think it might have been, which one was it? For the AI agent skills project. So take a look at the Excalidraw diagram that we generated after. That one is way more readable. So we need to replicate something similar to that. And then we need to actually update this agent's commands and workflow to make sure that that style of diagram with that level of detail, that coloring, that readability is replicated every time we call this command in the future. So what you just saw there is the iteration and the importance of that in building what we call agentic workflows. Now, when you first build a workflow, 99.99% of the time, it may work well sometimes, and then sometimes it won't work well. So maybe 5 out of 10 generations, you get an output you're happy with, or maybe it's 7 out of 10, or maybe it's 3 out of 10. The main, what no one talks about in AI automation is you have to do this iteration process, and really what you should be doing is running this edit agent workflow in Claude, in the BMAD framework, because that will take you through, once your agents get more complex, that will take you through a proper process and document that entire edit. Because if you're running this agent doesn't matter too much, right? It's just generating diagrams. It's not critical. But let's say it was for sending invoices for a company, or it was for something that was critical. We don't just want to willy-nilly go ahead and edit agents because it might delete things that were working well. So if you go through the proper edit process here, it will build a backup for you, and it will take you through a number of questions to make sure that it's only editing the parts that it needs to edit. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, hey, look, that Excalidraw diagram that you generated was kind of crap. So what I want you to do is take a look at one that we generated in another project, which was good, replicate that, and then update the instructions to make sure that the Excalidraw diagrams that we generate in the future are more like that. The next time I go and generate an Excalidraw diagram, if it's still crap, I'm probably going to go through that edit agent and I'm going to keep trying until we get the prompt good enough that it's generating Excalidraw diagrams to a quality that I'm happy with 10 out of 10 times. Then we can make it a workflow and we can run it without human intervention. But until then, you have to have a human in the loop to do exactly what I just did. And for the vast majority of automations that you build, that process will be the exact same. And so the true definition of an agentic workflow by nature is a workflow where you have multiple agents that are refined to a point that 10 out of 10 times they perform to a degree that you're happy with. So you can then take the human out of the equation and the agent can actually make decisions and chain actions together. That's the true definition of an agentic workflow. Most of the workflows that people are building out here are actually not agentic. They have a human in the loop. They're just regular automations with AI involved in them. It's going through a process like this and really over weeks, fine-tuning your prompts to a degree where they're accurate. That's when your workflows become truly agentic. Great. So it's just created the V2. Let's take a look. So this is version number 2. If we copy the code, we come back to Google, we delete this and we paste the next one in. That is still not great, is it? Has it definitely edited? There's oh, sorry, it's asking me. So it hasn't actually built it yet. Okay, so it looks like it's updated the Excalidraw roadmap. So if I open the new one and I copy and paste it into Excalidraw, so what should happen is if I go Command B, so we can see this just looks way nicer. So we can see, okay, so what we're going to talk about is tool stack, research agent, ideation agent, production agent, Gemini plus. So this looks way, way nicer. Look at that. That's a whole lot better. So let's see what it said here. It's done it, and then it's updated the workflow. Great. Awesome. And that's enough for us to film that first video. Now, what we'll be talking about, yeah, that looks good. Research agent, ideation agent, production agent. I'm just reviewing quickly what we'll be doing. Cool. Okay, so that works. What I'm going to do now is if we take a look at the long form video, Open the preview. Let's take a look. So the intro's in here. So we have the intro, we have the Excalidraw diagram. I'm going to go ahead and film both of those, get those MP4 files, and then come back here and drop them in the assets folder so we can proceed to the next step, which is the production agent and the script and storyboard planning. All right, so the next stage of this is the production agent, where we're going to be building storyboards for the intro file. So off the bat, I'm going to load what we call, it's the Clipper agent. That's the name I gave it, but it's the YouTube intro editor agent. And whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to get the intro video that I filmed. So if I come across to my hard drive, which has my outputs in it, you'll see here that we have this video, and I filmed, it's 3.66 gigabytes, which is a fairly large file. I filmed an intro. Now I'll quickly show you it. So you can see, now this took me 8 minutes 40. I don't use a transcriptor, which is, a teleprompter at this point in time, which is what most people use to film the intros. So I literally memorize it and then try and do it. But for most people that are filming this, you'll see I do a lot of different cuts. So it's 8 minutes and 40 seconds, but really the intro should be about 40 to 60 seconds. So the first thing we need to do is clip this down. So we need to do two things. One, we need to make what I call a proxy file, which is a way smaller, because this is 4K, it's very big. So what I use is this tool called Handbrake, and you'll see it right here. You can download it, it's completely free off the web. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compress this file into a much smaller file. So if I come into, Remotion Claude Code, I come to this 3.66 gigabyte file, I'll open it up. Now I typically push it into fast or very fast 480p 30. So this gets it down to like 30, so a much smaller file size, which we can then go and upload to Gemini's analysis to basically analyze what's happening in the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly get this running, because it can take a little bit of time. And I call this one the proxy file. So this is the intro and it's the proxy. And then we click start and we'll let that do its thing. It takes a couple of minutes to run that usually. Now, whilst that's loading, what I've just done is I've loaded the Clipper agent, and here it's asked me to select a project. Now we can see that we're running on the Claude, it's found the most recent project. So I'm going to click project number 1. And what's going to happen is as soon as that's ready, I'm going to go ahead and analyze the video. Now I'm going to talk through what's happening in this step, because we've got multiple things happening in the intro editor. First, we run these two steps. We run the AV and the TV, which is analyze video and transcribe video. And when I run them, you'll see what they happen. But analyze video is essentially using Gemini, which is an LLM, to Gemini 3 Pro specifically, to analyze exactly what is happening on the screen. So that could be, it'll say things like, for example, what you're watching right now, it will say there's a screen share, Adam's going through, he's in the Claude Code terminal, blah, 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 and there's a small image of his head in the bottom right corner. So that's what the analyze video will do. Transcribe video will get the transcription and everything I'm saying. We can use the combination of those two things to then go ahead and clip the video automatically. So I've got an 8 minute 40 long video. What I want it to do is analyze these two things and then go ahead and actually clip the video so that I don't have to do it. So automatically clip the video. Then I can actually run that clip, see how it looks. From there, I can generate a storyboard, which will build out a plan for the B-roll. Then I can go ahead and actually generate the B-roll using Hera video. Then I can assemble the Remotion project from the storyboard. Then I can review that and render the video. So there's multiple steps happening here, and I'm going to walk you through every single one as we go through them. All right, so the video has completed. So what I'm going to do is, we can see here we've got the proxy file. So I'm going to drag both of these two files. So this one's 31.5 megabytes. So you can see it's dramatically smaller, and that's going to matter because when we go ahead and, so this is the Claude Code Remotion. So let's drop them in the assets folder. We've got the two here. So now we can go project 1 and we can go analyze video, and it will automatically find the proxy, but let's just do it here. So watch what it does. So it's going to use a custom workflow that we've built. If I go to Claude and I go, sorry, not Claude, agents, workflows, with the Gemini video analysis. So you'll see here we've got node modules, but it essentially uses this script, fairly long script, but you can easily build this just by going ahead and building your own workflow and saying, hey, I want to build a workflow that takes a video file. So you can see a lot, basically what's happening here, we can read the prompt. So here this is the prompt. You're a precise video analyst producing structured data for a downstream video editing agent. Your video duration is blah, 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 blah. This is for every and these are all dynamic values that we're passing to the workflow. For every 1 second interval from 0 seconds to 20 seconds or whatever the case is, you return the timestamp, the visual description, the transcript, the scene type, the motion activity, etc. And it's got a bunch of rules. So essentially what we're doing here is we're building a simple workflow. This is the system message, or this is the system message. In the prompt, we're giving these dynamic values so that you can see here, and then it's essentially running the script. So it's going to do, this is the intro, Remotion. Cool. So it thinks that other one is the main video, but it's actually the intro. But let's run it for the intro. So what it's going to do in a moment is you'll see it will run that workflow, and it's going to return the analysis, which I'll show you in a moment. All right, so it's got the analysis, and as you can see, it's actually ticking that off in our project MD file, which is monitoring how much of the project we've actually got done. So it's added in there. If we come down and we go to the Clipper agent, we can see the intro video analysis. Now let's open the preview and let's see what is in here. So in the meantime, I'm going to start by running the transcription so that we can analyze this and it doesn't slow us down. So what it's going to do now is transcribe that intro video with timestamps. But let's see what the analysis has given us. So it's done it's done every 5 seconds. So at 0, we can see that it's a camera view, talking head studio shot, which is exactly what it is. Speaker runs hands through hair. So this is me obviously like preparing for recording. So this will definitely get cut out. Young man with light brown wavy. So it's described exactly who I am. It's described that there's a APG software neon sign behind me. So as you can see, it's telling me exactly what actually is in the video. This can be really useful for a number of things. One, if we want to extract B-roll, so often, and you'll see later, we'll generate motion graphics, but often what will happen is you'll want to show some relevant B-roll from your main video in your intro to, like, so let's say I'm talking about writing simple prompts in Claude Code, and then in the actual video, I talk about that in the intro, and in the video I actually do it. We'll want to extract a snippet out of the main video when I say that as B-roll. So it can be really useful information to be able to extract that. Now let's take a look at the transcript. Here's the transcript. So it's gotten the duration. It's given me the full transcript, and then it's also given me exactly word level timestamps. Cool. So I didn't start talking to the 23rd second, and we can see that we've got this really, really solid breakdown of exactly what is being said. So that is the analysis and the transcription done. The next step to clip it is we want to build a clip plan. So I'm going to do CP, which is to build a clip plan. This is to trim the raw intro down to the best take. So let's see what happens when I run this clip. So it's analyzed it's an intro. So it goes timing profile is intro, tight cut, aggressive filler removal. So what it's going to do here is it's going to now build this is almost like a basic storyboard to be like, hey, look, there was this much empty space. You repeated this sentence 5 times to get the perfect take. This is the perfect take, and it should cut this entire thing up into just that intro. So let's see how that goes. But before we do that, whilst it's doing that, let's take a look at the actual video. So you'll see I should be running my hands through my hair at some point here. All right, that's me running my hands through my hair, getting ready. I'm reading the script. I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to say. And then I start talking at the 23-second mark. Now, you can't hear what's happening here, but I do a number of retakes because sometimes I say too many words, and like the intro is super important for engagement. So I sometimes I just do it off the top of my head, to be honest, and those often end up performing really well. But in a case like this where I'm doing this sometimes I'll try and read it off a script as well. And I'm still kind of A/B testing which is the best approach to do that for engagement. But what should happen is it should go through and cut this 8-minute, 39-second script down into a very clear, concise script that's about 45 seconds or so. Now, before it goes and cuts, you can see what it's doing is it's loading the context files. Now, if I open this by clicking Control-O, we can see it's reading the transcript, it's reading the analysis, but not only that, it's looking for the long-form production MD, it's looking for the content brief, which it's found in both of these. So it's trying to get as much context as possible to be like, hey, what did Adam want from this intro? Is there a script that I can source? And what it's going to find is it's going to go, okay, I can see the script. Now let me analyze the transcript and the analysis and make sure that it's cut in the best way possible to match what Adam wanted to achieve with his introduction that he scoped out in the content brief and the long form production MD, which we did back in the ideation step. All right, so here is the assembled script that it's gotten. Let's take a look. So it goes, the intro that you're watching right now was edited entirely by AI. No editor, no software, just code. After over 250 projects and $1 million in revenue at my agency, I now use this exact system to produce every single one of the videos that you're watching on this channel. Not a demo, this is real production. Today I'm going to walk you through that entire pipeline from YouTube trend research and ideation all the way through to fully edited motion graphic enhanced videos, all built with 5 completely free open source tools. Everything runs on your machine, you don't need editing skills, you don't need Premiere Pro, and you don't even need to understand Code or React. Once you build this system, every video after that can be fully edited in just one command. That's perfect. Okay, so let's take a look at what it did. All right, so it goes through here. All context loaded. Let me analyze the footage. Phase 2 script. So 8 minutes 39. Okay, raw footage. So we've got, wow. So prep, we can get rid of that. Block 1 is 12 takes. Wow. Block 2 is 15 takes. Block 3 was 4 takes. Block 4 was 10 takes. And then we had a bit of silence at the end. That's pretty insane. I didn't realize I did that many takes, to be honest. So that's crazy. After analyzing, it's found the best takes. Crazy. Cool. And it's found the trim region. And so let's go ahead and do that. That's okay. Approve plan. All right, let's approve the plan and let's see how it goes when it actually cuts this up. Okay, so I can see that it's got the intro clipped MP4 here. Let's see how long it is. It's 46 seconds. Now, this is obviously the proxy, so it's slightly blurry. I'm going to throw my headphones on quickly and see exactly how good this cut actually is. Okay, that's pretty insane. There's one slot at the start here. One of them is slightly late. So what I'll do is I'll quickly just say, hey, look, and I'll get that touch up. The rest of it is pretty spot on, which is insane. Yes, there's a slight gap here. So I'm going to say, hey, this is really, really good. The only bit is the transition between in this. So you've now given me a 46-second outro from the first scene to the second scene, which happens at the 17-second mark in this new video. It's slightly slow. So we need to take, there's a little bit of that we can take off of the start of scene 2 in this cut, but the rest of it is perfectly fine. So I'd say on estimation, it's probably half a second or so, something like that. I'm also just going to rename this to intro so that it knows. Cool, so it's going to recut it now. Apparently it's done the update, so let me take a look. It's now a bit shorter. Let's see if this is better. So if I go back to, so let's take a look at the actual transcript. It's still slightly, so if I look at the transcript and I go to the 7, I'm actually not sure where exactly this is. You know what we could do as well? Let's do this. So so we can run the transcript on the intro clipped file again. So we can go, can you please run TV on this new intro clipped.mp4? So what we're going to do now, this is like a double layer. So it's close, but again, I still just like, it's not as smooth as it could be, that one transition there. So I want to run the transcription service again on there just to check, just to quickly see how that works. Now, what I also want to do is if I run Claude, I can run a separate command to see if we're operating on the latest version of Whisper from OpenAI, because potentially the newer one could be more accurate. In our video editor agent, in the custom agents folder, the intro editor, it has a command to run a transcription. I just want to check whether or not that's using the latest Whisper version from OpenAI and what the best API service for transcribing audio that's the most accurate and can give it to us in millisecond specifics for the vocals that we're saying. I just want to make sure that we're using the most accurate service out there. So could you please use XMCP to see what the latest model is or what the best service is and check what we're using in case that there's a better service that could also be cheaper out there. I want to build a comparison across those. Now, when I say use XMCP, I'm basically saying to use, it's just scraping the web and finding that. So we can drag this over here and just have that running. So whilst we do this, to do a little bit of research. Okay, so it's done it again. It's done the just Claude Code. Can we try and cut down the jump cut, please, to maybe like 0.3 seconds and see what that looks like? Maybe like 0.15 seconds on either side. Keeping in mind as well that once we build B-roll into this, we can put B-roll over the cuts. So even if I look a little bit like weird, and let's say maybe the 17-second mark, because as you can see, there's a slight pause there. We can put a bit of B-roll over the top of that to mask what that looks like. So it's editing it now, and it's removing that clip to go. So let's see what happens. I think it's just done it now. We can see there's a number of services here. So we're using OpenAI's transcription service, but 11 Labs has got one. There's a number of different ones. Let's see. We're using Whisper 1. Oldest and least accurate. Wow, okay. Oh, wow, this is really quick. I might move to 11 Labs Scribe. What are the pricing models for each of these? Ideally, I'd like to just be able to put maybe $20 on a plan and have that run. So what does DeepGram and 11 Labs look like in terms of like, how do you actually pay for them? I don't really want to pay per month for a subscription or anything like that. So what does that look like for API usage? So again, this is the importance of iteration, upgrading your workflows, investigating better methods. So let's take a look. It's just shaved 570 milliseconds off. So let's now review this file again and see what it sounds like. That's way cleaner. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, that's really, really good. Can we please update the agent instructions to make sure that that's the new default cut length, and that's how we cut between scenes in every cut going forward, both for intros and main videos? I think that's really clean. So yes, can we please use that cutting timing? I think that timing on either side makes the cuts look really, really clean. That's perfect. So that's our intro video cut from 8 minutes 40 to 45 seconds, and we did it in, that could easily be one prompt. We did it in 2 because we're editing our agent a little bit. But as you can see, next time I go to edit a video, it's going to be a one prompt, and we edit an entire video. Now that's just for an intro. Imagine a 1 or 2 hour long video. The recording that you're watching right now, I'll be doing the exact same thing. All right, now as a side note, apparently DeepGram gives you $200 free. So, all right, let's do that. $200 in free credit. Great. Please give me the URL to go ahead and get the $200 in free credit, and then I will go ahead and get that set up. Please let me know where to put the API key, and then let's build a plan to update the transcribe.ts to use DeepGram Nova 3, please. Amazing. That has cut it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, please run that exact same clip on the actual main file. So amazing. That clip is perfect. Now, can we please run that same clip on the 4K version? It's the exact same intro. It's just 4K. So you'll find that in the assets folder. Please run the exact same clip so that we get the same output on the 4K version. Now, whilst that's working, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open another Claude instance, and I'm going to run the Edge. BMAT agent Edge. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to revise. So you remember when we did the ideation, we came through and we built the long form production file. Now in there, we had the intro script and we had ideas for B-roll. What I'm going to be doing is basically just, actually, because the intro is so, we don't even need to run that step. I'll remove that step. But because the intro is, if the intro was different to the script, which it usually isn't, but if I was to do it off the top instead of reading from a script, then it would be. You'd have to update that file and maybe brainstorm some new B-roll, but because ours is so similar, we don't need to do that. It's now doing the concatenation. Now this probably takes longer because of how big the, here we go, intro clips 4K. Now we can reveal this in the editor to see exactly how big it is. So it's probably still, it's still rendering. That's why it only says 4.7, but let's see how big that file ends up being. Okay, now we've clipped the video, the 4K video. That is pretty cool. So now it's compacting the conversation, but that's clipped the entire, that in itself is pretty incredible. So that's working. The next thing I'm going to do from there is generate a storyboard. Now, I'll probably build a new, it's going to compact, so we can build it in this conversation, and that's okay. But we'll go ahead and we'll build this storyboard, which will then allow us to build some of the motion graphics, which we're going to use with this video. And I'll show you how that works once we get into it. Great. So that's in there. It's done. So now it goes to the next step, which is storyboard, so SB. Now you're probably wondering, how did we set this whole thing up? Well, again, I've mentioned this a number of times. I went through and created an agent. I ran the BMAT workflow to create an agent. It automatically sets up all the menus. It asks you a number of questions about what each agent should do. And so I came in there and I was like, hey, look, each agent should analyze video, transcribe video. And I talked to exactly what I wanted, and it helped me build these steps. And that's what we're walking through right now. Now, all of these files, I will, yeah, cool. So drop the main video. In this case, we're just going to be doing the intro. So we won't be doing the main video. We're just doing the intro. So we already have the TV and the AV for the intro generated. We won't be pulling any B-roll from the main video for this specific video. So usually what I do is I actually pull B-roll from the main video as well, but because the video that I'm recording right now is the main video, I can't do that easily for this specific video. Okay, so it's built the storyboard here. Now we can take a look at exactly where it is. So it's done here. So it's built the different sections. We can see, and then see how it's like built the B-roll, all those kind of things. So it's going to reuse screenshots. Cool. So when we actually go down here and we take a look, so it's got the segments. So the first 8 seconds is just talking head. There's going to be some captions. Cool. That looks good. There we go, segment 2. Cool. Now, one thing I've noticed is that most successful videos, they actually use some sort of B-roll in the first, I'd say 4 seconds or so. So what I want to do is, after the first, at some point in the first 5 seconds, they're using B-roll somewhere. So what I might do is I might approve this, but I might actually make that adjustment and say, and that's actually probably something that we need to adjust in the intro editor, not this agent. So I'm going to go ahead and make that adjustment. I'm going to make it off camera because, again, these are just little tweaks that I'm noticing because I want this edit to be as good as possible. So I'm going to quickly adjust that, because if we take a look at the intro plan, so if I come back to Edge and I take a look at the long form production, let's just take a look what this looks like. We can see here that it goes 0 to 5 seconds just talking head. So I think what we want to do is, and I'm going to get it to analyze that, but I'm going to run and I'm going to edit the agent and just slightly edit the B-roll. And I'm going to go ahead and actually generate that storyboard again, because I don't want it running all of that time just talking head with captions as the B-roll. Actually, scratch that. I am going to do this because I'm just looking at some of my most performing videos, and the general, my top performing video actually has me doing a talking head for 10 seconds, but it's got a nice zoom in effect. So I'm going to build this. So let's approve. But what I'll probably do is end up showing you guys how to actually add in an effect. And I'm going to make that effect, I'm going to add that to our template after it's generated. So let's save the file. Then we're going to go ahead and build it, and we'll enter into the next phase, which is the actual editing within Remotion. So it's going to go ahead and actually build an MD file or a storyboard plan. We can see here that it's got the talking head. TH stands for talking head, so we can see all the segments. When it generates the markdown, we'll be able to go through and actually view each segment and what's going to be involved in the intro clip. Great, so we can see it has outputted the storyboard file. So if we come to Clipper, we can see the storyboard markdown file. Now I'm going to make this way smaller. Cool, so we can see here that it's got the calibration map it's gone through. Let's actually open the preview. And here we can see each breakdown. So we've got the timestamp, the speech, the template. So it's going to be subtle zoom in here. So this is based on all of our templates, the transition, the caption, etc. So we can see the full breakdown here. Now this looks pretty good. Let's take a look. So this is all built on some of the templates that we have stored in Remotion. Now you can see here that when we activate the Remotion, we're actually using the workflow of this Remotion build, and it goes through 8 steps to build the storyboard. So it goes through pre-flight, checks that we have everything, scaffolds, builds the themes, extracts B-roll, copies standard template files. So we can see here, copy from template source. So we're grabbing captions, etc., subtle zoom, composition, B-roll, overlay. We've got fixed templates for all those. We're copying them into the file. So if I run BL now, which is the build command, it's going to build the Remotion project from the storyboard. So this is, and what we'll see at the output of this is the actual Remotion storyboard. Now, as you can see, it's going through each step to go ahead and build the Remotion file. So the exact steps that we talked about before, as you can see, step 1 to 8, we can see it going through and executing step 1, going through, running the test, loading the next file, executing step 2, etc., until it gets to step 8. And then we'll be able to see the file. Okay, the video is rendered. Now, what I'll show you is how to open a browser in Cursor. So if you do Command Shift B, you can open the browser, which is cool. and we're going to run localhost 3004 because that's where it says it's up and running, and you'll see that we've got Remotion Studio built in here. So what we can do now, and the rendering of this will depend on a couple of things. Now you'll see that it's a bit laggy. I'm running this off of a pretty low spec Mac, so I'll actually need to upgrade to a better spec Mac at some point, I think. But regardless, you can render the video here and it will render perfectly fine. But I'll just show you a little preview of what we've got in here. This is pretty good. So as you can see, now that little freeze, that's just in Remotion Studio. When you actually run it, it won't have that. We forgot to build the motion graphics. So that's why it's just showing captions, because we forgot to build the motion graphics. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to rerun this. We need to use the clipper, but I'm going to rerun this using the motion graphics command. So what you'll see is this is working. It's clipped it up. It's great, but there's no motion graphics in here because we forgot to render them. So that was a step that I forgot to do. And that's actually a good step to go ahead and edit and make sure that the motion graphics have been generated before we action the storyboard. So what I'm going to do is cool. So I fixed the transcription model, so that's great. I'm going to close that. But what I'm actually going to do here is run the edit workflow. I'm going to drag this to the side. I'm going to run the edit agent workflow. This one here, I think we can get rid of this. Yeah, here it goes. Okay, so as you can see, it's got the missing motion graphics, but I'm going to remove this and I'm going to say, and we're going to go to the intro editor. We're going to edit it, custom agent. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, okay, we can remove that. And essentially, you know what, I'll do it right here now. So I'm going to go and I'm going to build the motion graphics here, but I'm also at the same time going to edit this one. And I'm going to say, hey, look, before you build a storyboard in the future, make sure you ask me and check whether the motion graphics are done. And if not, ask me if you want to generate those. Okay, so one of the key issues here is that I just went ahead and generated a storyboard in this agent's instructions before I had the motion graphics rendered. And it didn't ask me to generate the motion graphics beforehand, so I just forgot. So what you need to do is before we do the storyboard, you need to ask the user and be like, and check whether the motion graphics have been generated and if you can find them. And if you can't, you need to ask the user and say, hey, look, I noticed you haven't got the motion graphics built out yet. You sure you want to go ahead and build the storyboard before you've rendered the motion graphics? And ask the user, because in most cases, I'm not going to want to render the storyboard unless the motion graphics have been added. Great, so we're going to go ahead and make that edit to the agent. I'll work through that in real time, but whilst we're doing that, it's going to go ahead and build the motion graphics. So it'll get reference images, and if it doesn't get them here, we can use tools to scrape the web or get logos, so whichever the two is, and then it should be able to generate those. And we'll show you what Hera looks like, Hera.video, but that's a really, really powerful API for generating motion graphics, and you'll see that in a moment. Okay, so I took some time away from my computer, but I literally just ran the MG request up here. Then I said generate all, and I went through and I generated the full motion files, and they're in the public motion graphics folder right here. So we could take a look at exactly what these look like. So the first one looks like this. It says scroll through some Claude Code skills. The second one looks like some terminal work. Again, that's pretty cool. The third one, that's pretty cool. I quite like the look of that, but it hasn't got logos. The fourth one, okay, that looks good, except that final image on the isn't showing anything. So we're gonna do two things. All right, now on MG03, can we please pull the actual logos for these softwares using the logo canvas custom workflow, please? And for MG04, there seems to be an image error. So it's a really good motion graphic, except when it slides to the at the 3rd second mark, it seems like there's an image attachment issue in the actual render. So we might need to re-render that one as well. So the motion graphics are all pretty usable. I think MG04 needs a little bit of work, and we'll attach the graphics into MG03, and then we should be good to go. So you can see here that it is first going using the logo canvas to generate all the logos and actually extract the logos. For the Remotion logo, we can just use a standard video editing logo because I don't think it has a logo. So it's found all the logos except the Remotion logo, which I don't think actually has a logo. So I'm happy to just show like a video editing symbol for that one. Whilst I'm doing this, again, I want to make a tweak to the motion graphics command in the agent to make sure that if there's any logo mentions or any logo mentions or anything like that in the prompt, to automatically go ahead and use the available custom workflows for scraping web pages, web capture, and the logo canvas. So I'm going to make that adjustment whilst this actually goes ahead and rebuilds the other motion graphics just to get them a little bit better. All right, so 2 issues that I have with this current agent are specifically around the motion graphics generation. If there's any logos or anything from the web, we should look at the custom workflows folder and look at the logo canvas workflow and the web capture before we go ahead and generate the motion graphic, so that we can extract the relevant logos or relevant pages or anything from the web to have that in place before we generate the motion graphics. So we should definitely have a check to make sure that all those files are in place. And if not, run those workflows first to get them and then go ahead and generate the motion graphics, please. All right, so it has regenerated those files. So let's come back and take a look. So let's take a look at 03. Cool. So that's got the logos. That looks really cool. Super happy with that. Let's take a look at MG04. And that's got a Claude Code in there. I'm happy with that as well. So let's add these back into... Great. Now, can you please add these back into the storyboard and the existing... I think it's already in the storyboard, but can we please add it into the Remotion build, please? All right, looks like they are in there. So let's take a look. The MGs are already wired into the build. Okay, so let's open the browser and we can even ask. Great, can you please run Remotion on the local host so I can preview the video? Okay, I just watched this video, so you can see some of the motion graphics in here. So let me check where about. So you can see here, for example, there's one of the motion graphics that pulls away. There's another one. So you can see once I actually render it, it'll remove those little snapshots. One thing I want to do though is I actually want to add this like a zoom out effect on the intro for the first second or two. So I'm going to go ahead and make just a couple of little adjustments, but you can literally do it by text. So I'll show you right now. The intro, it's pretty dull. It doesn't exactly go wow, you know what I mean? So what I want to do is say, okay, one thing I want to build into this is for the introductions, I want to use a cool like zoom out effect for the first second to really kind of get people engaged with the video. So can we please add a cool zoom out effect for the first video, for the first second of this video, please? All right, so there we go. As you can see, we've got a little zoom out effect. It doesn't exactly have the punch that I think it could. So I might ask it to make it a little bit more punchy. And then I think these captions could be a little bit more full on as well. So can we please make that zoom out a little bit more punchy, please? Like just a little bit more of an effect if possible. And then the other thing I'm going to look at is some really popular, so I might even just do this on Google, some popular captions to grab attention in the tech niche. All right, let's take a look. Oh, wow. Okay, zoom effects. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. I'm also going to cut the first... Let's see. Great. Now, can we actually please cut the first 20 seconds? I wanted to... And so just move the zoom out effect forward a bit. The first 20 seconds, I'm not saying anything, and I want it to kind of load in pretty quick. So just cut the first... Sorry, not 20 seconds. The first 20 milliseconds. Great. Now, I'm actually going to edit the agent that builds the storyboards and does the the clipping to include the fact that we want the video to start I'll do the storyboard agent and I'll do the clipping to fix the 2 things I've noticed here, where I want the video to start with like a very, very minimal gap between me and the first word spoke, and I want to use that zoom out effect, sorry. Okay, in this agent, there's 2 main things that I want to change. One, the clipping agent, the start of whichever video, whether that's the intro or the main or the entire video, whatever's been clipped up, I want to make sure that there's only 0.15 milliseconds between the start of the video and the start of me speaking. So there shouldn't be a large gap there. It should be very quick. So that's one thing. The other thing is with the storyboard generation agent, on all videos that have a talking head at the start, we want to use the same zoom effect that we've just used in the Claude Code Remotion video editing project. So that zoom out effect, I think it's from something like 1.6 times, and it zooms out over the space of about a second or so. Check to be sure, but I want to make sure that every video has that style to kind of, and then that in combination with the user starting speaking is to grab engagement as much as possible in those that first second, which is all just super crucial. So the zoom effect and the fact that we want to make sure that the video is starting clipped up correctly in all those cases. So can you please make both of those edits? Great. All right, let's see. Refresh it. Looks like the audio may not be trimmed, but let's take a look. I can easily, yeah, that looks good. All right, this looks really good. Now I want to view some different caption styles. Amazing. Now, I really like the way that our captions slide in when they're spoken, but is there a way for me to preview some other caption formats or styles in some sort of palette somewhere? I don't know if they're online, if there's any websites I can take a look at some different caption styles to see some that might punch a little bit more. I also think that we can make the font a fair bit a decent bit larger. But yeah, I want to preview some different just caption fonts if that's possible, or styles. Where would I go to find some? That's really the last thing I want to fix up, is like, I just don't think that caption slaps the way I want it to slap, or just kind of hits home. So I want to get some much cooler caption styles, which is what I'm doing a little search for now. So what have we actually learned and achieved in this video? Well, before this video, you were probably someone that was somewhat interested in building automations and taking advantage of AI and all the hype that's being created around it. You might have been a content creator. And at the end of this video, you've understood the process of building a number of different agentic workflows. You know exactly how to set that up in Claude Code and in the cursor. And you now understand the process of iteration and what's actually behind building agentic workflows without the hype. There's all these people out there that are making you think that you can do all these things with one prompt to Claudebot, and it goes ahead and builds you an entire 100K a month business. And a lot of that is just hype to get you to click things. Behind the scenes, the real infrastructure that is actually going to work, not only for you, but also for businesses if you look to implement it, the process of that requires iteration, testing, and understanding what you're actually doing. And that's what we achieved in this video, is showing you the real stuff, the real builds that are actually working versus all of the hype that is actually got no real use case out there. So I hope that you've taken some valuable insights for this video. And what it really does is set the framework for you to go ahead and start building out your own agentic workflows and automations, because there's a 2 to 3 week iteration process, to be honest, on complex workflows that's just unavoidable, that nobody's talking about. And I hope you've seen in this video the actual in-practice reality of building these workflows. If you found it useful at all, feel free to hit subscribe, comment what you thought was useful, and subscribe to the channel, because I'll be pushing out more content that is in line with what we've built here over the next few weeks. So I'll be doing everything agentic and everything Claude Code. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.